welcome to the 7th episode of the Frostbites podcast. My name is Minna and I'm coming to you from Finland. Today is the 6th of December, which is the National Day of Finland, and we are celebrating 99 years of independence. So next year it will be 100 and the celebrations will be a lot bigger than this year. But it's an important day for all of us. And every December, end of November, I get myself one of these very traditional Christmas calendars, which are sold by scouts. I'm a scout myself, so I also sell these. And I love the fact that these calendars are so traditional. There's no chocolate, there's no little toys or anything, just pictures, and the pictures are also very predictable. So each year on the 6th of December you are sure to get some Finnish flags, and this year there's several of those. So that's my Christmas tradition, to open the windows from the Scouts Advent calendar, which is actually the oldest Advent calendar that there is in Finland. But let's get on with the knitting. That's why we are here. Today I have some exciting news. As you can see, I have a bouquet of flowers over there. I just received them, as well as this diploma, because my sock design was chosen as the winner for a sock design contest, which was held by a local newspaper and a local craft and fabric store. And the editor-in-chief just came over and interviewed me for the newspaper, which will be published on Thursday. And I think that I will also upload this podcast on Thursday, so that I don't give anything out too soon. The editor told me that there had been 14 designs, and they had a jury of 6 people, and they had scored all the socks that they had received for the contest. And the highest score you could get was 60 points, and I got 54. So that was a really nice surprise. And I actually got my socks back for a few days because I need to write a pattern, or actually I already wrote it, but I need to check a few details from the sock because I didn't do much notes. So as soon as I have checked those, and I also asked for a few test knitters to really quickly test knit the sock so that it can be published along with the newspaper on Thursday. The pattern itself will be available in Finnish. It will be a PDF download from the newspaper website, and also available in the craft store in Liminka. So I had a very busy weekend. It was surprisingly difficult for me to write the pattern in Finnish because I've been knitting out of English patterns for years, and the pattern that I published myself this autumn for the lamest socks was also written in English. So I really actually struggled writing it in Finnish, but I made it, and I hope that all the knitters who decide to knit it will like it. So I will show you now what it looks like, because earlier I wasn't able to show you the socks. So I named this sock Pelto, which means field in Finnish. Our area is very flat and there are lots of fields around, so that was my inspiration, and I wanted to somehow incorporate that in the design. The sock is knit toe up using magic loop, but the craft store people asked if I could write also a top-down pattern for it, so that everybody who is not as familiar with the magic loop could also knit the sock. So I have to work on that next. This one has a gusset and short row heel and a heel flap, kind of. You don't really have a flap when you're knitting from toe up, but it looks as if you had a heel flap and gusset. And it's got this pattern on top of the foot and the instep. It's made of using just 1 stitch cables and then 1 by 1 rib. And I used my favorite sock yarn for this design, which is of course Knitlops Lair Väinämöinen, which all of you who have been watching my podcast earlier know that I use it a lot. And I was really happy to hear that the craft store wanted to find out if they could start selling this yarn as well. And they have now made a deal with Knitlops Lair, and they will at least sell this colorway and probably some others as well, so that people can buy the same yarn that I used. And I'm really happy that they actually decided to include this yarn in their selection, because I think that Tuulia's beautiful yarn deserves as many places where you can buy them as possible. So that's my winning design, and I will publish the pattern in Ravelry as well towards the end of the week, I think. And if I have time during Christmas, I might translate it in English as well. Let me know if you would be interested in having the English version as well. Sorry, my phone. I forgot to mute it. So that was very exciting this week. I'm quite happy that they liked my sock. And from what I heard, it was quite different than any of the other pairs of socks that they received. So it will be interesting to see what kind of designs the others were, and they were going to publish all the designs or pictures of all the socks on the Thursday's paper. I will probably snap a photo of the newspaper on Thursday and post it on Instagram if you're interested. Okay, so that's sort of a finished object, even though it was finished a long time ago, but I haven't shown it to you, so that was that. I have another finished object as well, which is this scarf that I'm wearing. It's also my own design. I haven't written a pattern for it, but I might a bit later on. I was not completely satisfied with the outcome, so I have to make a few changes before I write it to a pattern. I knitted out of La Bien Aimé's merino singles in colorways Raindrops on Raindrops on Roses and Life Aquatic. And it's a semicircular shawl. With a lot of garter stitch and a couple of lace panels. And it's got also short rows to shape it a bit asymmetrical. So there it is. It's quite long. I really like this lace pattern that I used. It's very simple, but it looks beautiful. And the funny thing is, now that it's finished, I actually think that the wrong side looks better with the garter stitch. So when I write the pattern, I might just turn it around. On the wrong side, the lace pattern forms these little bumps, and I think it really goes quite nicely with the garter stitch body of the shawl. And I'm not sure if you can see the short row shaping. Yeah, you can kind of see it's in some parts I striped the short rows, and for example this pink part here is just pink short rows. I think this shawl, especially in these colors, would be a perfect springtime shawl. I also made another, or have another finished object which I already sent away. It's traveling far away from here. I took part in the Dingo Dye Works Christmas knit-along swap, and that was a knit-along and swap at the same time. It was sort of like a Secret Santa, where each participant got a name and address and a little bit of information of the recipient, and then we each knit something to send for the secret friend that we received. And because we haven't all received our own yet, I haven't received mine, for example, and because we have decided to open the presents together everywhere in the world on the same day, I don't want to spoil the surprise, and that's why I don't want to show you a picture of what I've knit for that. But that's a finished object anyway. I also have one sewing project which I have finished, and it's all wrinkled because I've already worn it. I finished my Nani Iro shirt last week at sewing class, and it's really nice. I ordered this Nani Iro design fabric from Japan, and I've made the pattern myself at the sewing course, and I used the fabric had these checked borders, so I wanted to have them in the middle and in the collar, and also at the back in the hem. So that's also maybe not for this time of year, because it's -18 degrees at the moment, so I have to wait for a bit warmer weather to wear this, and also for this scarf. It's okay inside, but the colors are more suitable for warmer weather. Okay, that was all my finished projects. Then maybe we can move on with the works in progress. There's a lot this time. I have been knitting so many socks that I have lost count. And that's why I haven't been working at all on my sweater. It's a surprise to myself that I finished this shawl because I have so many socks. And I will just show these in a random order. These ones you have already seen when I last filmed. I have finished the other sock already. And here is the other one. I am doing the blueberry waffle pattern on the leg on both sides, 2x2 rib, and then for the foot I'm doing the pattern on the instep, and the sole is just plain stockinette stitch. And these are not the needles that I'm working on. I had to steal them for another project. It would be impossible to use these short needles for knitting a sock. I'm doing the Kirby Werby afterthought heel, which doesn't require the waste yarn. You only cut one strand of yarn and then unravel a bit, and then you do the afterthought heel. And yarn is the same again, Knitlops Lair. This is an exclusive colorway for a yarn shop in southern Finland, and it's housing in my Lone Larch Designs project bag, which I love. Hi Jenny, if you're watching. Then let's take that one next. Oops. Then I have my Görttisukat, which is a traditional Finnish knitting pattern. I did the afterthought heel for this one as well. The other one is already finished, and here is the second sock. And with these I am using the Chaugos 2.5mm needles, and again same yarn, Knitlops Lair, in two different colorways. The other one is purple and the other one is this variegated yarn. I will just quickly go through these because there are so many and you have seen most of these before. Then I am doing a test knit for Heli Rajavaara. She has designed a beautiful sock which I wanted to test knit, and here is what I have. I was already up to the toe last night, but then I had to rip it back because I realized that I made a stupid mistake with the gusset. I had decreased too many times and I was wondering why it was so tight on my foot when I was trying it on, and it took me all the way to get to all the way to the toe before I noticed that I had decreased way too many stitches, so I had to rip back, and this is where I'm right now. The pattern calls for two different colors. The contrast color is for the cuffs, the heel and toes, and the cuff also has the same pattern as the body of the sock. And I used this beautiful, soft, sweet Georgia Tough Love sock yarn for the body. It is super soft and I love knitting with it, but I'm not sure if it's the perfect match for the stitch pattern. I think you can see it still. and I just couldn't wait for casting on that yarn, so I did. That's what I did. So there is this little cable pattern going across, and it is your traditional heel flap and gusset type of heel. And here I have my 2.5 millimeter higher sharps, which are my favorite needles, along with the Chow Goose 2.5s. And this is what the Sweet Georgia yarn looks like in a cake. And the contrast color is Vilja by Knitlob's Lair. And finally, my last bag, which is full of yarn, because I wanted to start making scrappy socks from my Knitlob's Lair scraps, which you can imagine I have plenty of. And I finally received my 9-inch circulars, which I ordered from England. And these are Chow Goose. And they are so much better than the bamboo ones that I had. The join was really draggy on the bamboo ones. It kept biting my yarn every single time I had to move the stitches. This is a totally different experience. It is a little bit fiddly still, but I found it easier if I twist the yarn around my finger to keep the tension right. And then, like someone said, I can't remember, it might have been Nina from the Give Me a Crown podcast, who said that you have to knit with these mini circulars as if you were drinking coffee from very fancy coffee cups. And I think that was quite a good description of how you knit with these. And after knitting this much, I can say that I am pretty much happy with my technique already. I think I have only 56 stitches on this one. It's a bit too small amount of stitches for this circular. I think it would be a bit easier if I had 60 or 64. That way I wouldn't have to move the stitches so much around. But I'm really happy with how it feels knitting with this circular now. And I'm just randomly picking colors and randomly choosing for how long I'm going to knit each stripe. Yeah, so those were all my works in progress that I'm actively working at the moment. Sorry, I changed my tablet around and I'm looking at the wrong corner. The camera is in the other end. I realize it now. Okay. Maybe a bit more sock talk, as the grocery girls would say. I just want to remind you of our knit along that I'm hosting in my Ravelry group, the Frostbites podcast group. It is a Lamus knit along for my Lamus socks. So you still have plenty of time if you want to start knitting these and to join the knit along. This is the pattern and it's available for purchase in Ravelry. And to attend our CAL, you just need to join my Ravelry group and post your pictures of the finished objects by the last day of this year. So you have almost a month still, so you can easily make a pair of these socks, especially because the leg is so short. So moving on with the yarn acquisitions, and I think I need to include a bit more than just yarn. I want to start with the prize that I won from the sock design contest. It was a fairly big prize. So I received 6 skeins of yarn and all kinds of notions to go with it, and they were all packed in this beautiful felt basket. And finally I'm able to start using these. Let me show all of these. So there's 2 skeins of Osterman Step sock yarn, and this is the one with jojoba oil. 2 skeins in this purple variegated colorway. It's the color 0133 and it's a 100 gram skein, so 800 grams altogether. Then 2 skeins of Schachenmeyer's Regia 4-ply sock yarn. This is the design line by Arne and Carlos. And the colorway is 03765. And I guess the patterning is a bit like what you can see here, but it's more in blue and purple. And then there was 1 white and 1 purple skein of Schachenmeyer SMC fine wool. This is really super soft. It is 100% new wool, 50 gram skeins. I think this would be perfect for baby knits or maybe some other next to skin project. And all the notions. There's a set of Knit Pro cubics 3.0 3mm needles, 2 cable needles, this cute pair of scissors, a tape measure, and I thought that it was very handy that it had both centimeters and inches. A set of stitch markers and a set of wool bobbins. I guess you can use these if you're doing color work with a lot of different colors. And a knitting thimble, also for color work. and then finally a needle gauge. So I thought that it was a very good price to win, and I will sure use all of these to pack these. And I also have some, well, not even some, quite a lot of other yarn acquisitions. I bought this, also Arne and Carlos, almost the same, a bit different in color, but this one that I bought myself is a 6-ply sock yarn, whereas this was 4-ply, so a bit thicker yarn. This I bought before I knew that I had won this basket full of yarn, and I just wanted to see what it would be like to knit with a bit thicker yarn, which I haven't used in a while. Then I went to Helsinki was it a couple of weeks ago or no, I think it was, yeah, 2 weeks ago. And I went to the beautiful yarn shop Snurre, which I definitely recommend to go to if you are in Helsinki. I bought 2 skeins of hedgehog fiber skinny singles in Oracle colorway, and I thought that I would pair this yarn with the teacup colorway, which I already had. I have 2 skeins of this too, but I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to make out of these. Maybe a shawl or a shirt. You don't say a shirt. Maybe a shawl or a sweater. That's more like it. And I also got this one from Helsinki, Lustig Yarns, Merino DK. It's hand dyed in Helsinki, and this colorway is Bingo. It's really squishy, and I think this will become a hat. Look at these colors, so beautiful. There's even some green in there. Yeah, so beautiful and so soft. And it's not all. In October I took part in the La Bien Aimé's Socktober knit-along, which I told you about in my last episode. So I took part in the category More is More, Less is a Bore, which was a category for people who intended to knit 3 or more pairs of socks. And I think there were four of us who knit 3 or more pairs, and there were 2 prizes, and I was lucky enough to win the other one. So I got these beautiful BFL Tough Sock partners. So it's a 50-gram skein each, so it's already skeined in half, and the colorway is called Happy Accident. And these are definitely going to be a pair of socks. And I am thinking about making either the Cookie Ace monkey socks or what is the one which has the ribbed heel. Vanilla is the new black. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. Vanilla is the new black, I think it is. Or third option, Isolda's new sock pattern. Or I might design a pattern myself. We'll see once I get there. And then finally, I also took part in the Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted movement, which was going across Instagram a few weeks ago. And I was wishing to get either a sock blank or a speckled yarn. And I got this beautiful and soft merino nylon high twist skein from Kerppa, who is having the Neulokerppa podcast, which is in Finnish. And this is from Lai yarns. It's 80% merino and 20% nylon. 365 meters in 100 grams. And the colorway is called Bowie, a good, awful, small affair. So more socks, I think. Oh, and I forgot to show you my latest whip, which I will show you now. It's not much of a whip yet, but I just had to cast on a pair of my Belto socks for writing the pattern top down. So this is going to be the top down version. And I have a centimeter already. Yay! And this yarn is dark blue Knitlops layer. Colorway Muste ink. Okay, so that was all the yarn that I have received lately. Then my brain is all over the place at the moment. I forgot to show you the prices for the Leimuskal, so I'm gonna do it now. Well, not all of them, but some of them. There is going to be one skein of my favorite sock yarn. What else? Because the Leimus socks are also knit in this yarn. And I got this variegated yarn which has green and orange and yellow. Really more vivid colors than what it appears on the screen. So that will be one price. I also bought these cute sock buttons. So someone's going to receive these as a prize. They are from Savi Jonttu Ceramics. And I'm also going to have a Moomin surprise for someone. I'm showing you just one part of the Moomin surprise. So this is a perfect tin for your notions or whatever you want to store in it. And I thought that I would select randomly someone who is not living in Finland to receive this prize, because Moomins are everywhere in Finland, so I want to give this prize for someone who is not able to buy them in their local stores. So this and something else as well. Okay, I need to check my notes. And there will be also two project bags made by me for the Leimuskal. Something a bit like this one. not the exact fabric, but something similar. All right, I think that was all this time. I am hoping to film another episode before Christmas, if I have enough time. If not, then definitely during Christmas break. I hope you have enjoyed your time with me today, and please join our Ravelry group if you are on Ravelry. Join our Lemuscal, and if you like the video, subscribe on YouTube. See you next time. Bye!